What's going on, guys? It's Will with Clash of Clans Crusades, and today we are going to take a look at my hero lineup to show you what equipment we use as well as which pet we have going with each hero. Before we do, if you haven't subscribed, please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. It's the best way to stay up to date on new Clash of Clans updates, tips, tricks, and strategies for your armies. It really goes a long way in growing our channel, so we appreciate it. As you can see here, we're taking a look at our newest account, which is a Town Hall 10. We actually started this account less than a month ago, so we're growing it quite quickly. It's a bit rushed, as you can see, but our goal is to get it to a Town Hall 13 so that we can show you guys some new mid-tier army strategies that would help a lot of our viewers who aren't quite maxed yet. But on to our Town Hall 16, as you can see here, we're going to take a look at our heroes and we'll show you the lineup so we can break down each one. Starting off with the King, we have got our Spiky Ball with the Vamp Stash. We have got our Invisibility Vial with the Frozen Arrow. We have got our Rage Gem and our Eternal Tome, and then finally the Hog Rider Puppet with the Haste Veil, capping out our Royal Champion there. So we're going to get into some content and we're going to see a little bit of what an attack looks like, kind of zoomed in on one particular hero. As we'll talk about later, the pet combination is actually really useful for some of these heroes that we're using, especially with the armies that we'll see. So starting off, we've got the Royal Champion. We're going to typically put her behind a bulkier troop. In this case, I chose the King. But as you can see, we pair her with our Fox pet, and we're just going to look at some of the defenses that she's able to destroy completely independently. So I've got this on half speed just so that we can take kind of a slow deep dive into how she moves throughout the base. And she's not really getting much attention from any of the defenses, which is what we like to see until we get a bit deeper into the base. But already we're up to 6 defenses destroyed now. She's really taking out all the defenses in that corner, and what that does is it allows our army to funnel in from a different side and not really have to worry about getting attacked from all directions, really just one. So we went ahead and popped her ability there, and so now those hogs, not only will they go for defenses, but they also make the Royal Champion invisible for a second, which means that if she's targeted, she'll automatically lose whatever defense was targeting her. So with just the champion, as you can see, we knocked out 10 defenses independently, plus the Town Hall. Taking a look at her stats, my Royal Champion's not maxed yet, but as you can see at a level 37 there, she's got 518 damage per second with a little over 3,800 hit points. So fairly strong in terms of that damage for sure, and then we've got some solid hit points to back it up. You can see my maxed out Hog Rider Puppet here. We've got 9 summon units and each one is at a level 11. So that's actually massive. You're talking about a pretty big increase to your army size there in terms of housing space with just those included. And then that Haste Vial is really nice. It allows her with that 1 second of invisibility to get defenses off of her back, and then she immediately just goes to town, destroying them with that increased speed. And then moving on, our next hero that we're going to take a look at is our King, who we kind of saw at the beginning of the last video. We're going to use that Vamp Stash here, as well as the Spiky Ball and the Phoenix. Now, right off the bat, as you can see, he is able to take out that Town Hall, and he kind of acts as a buff for all of the troops behind him to make sure that he's taking most of the damage, and all the while, every time he gets a hit, he's actually recovering a good bit of health. And as we get deeper and deeper into the base, it's just going to make that Phoenix even more important as we get to some of the more important defenses like this Monolith, for example. A lot of times you'll find that the King will get killed, and then fortunately that Phoenix will give him some extra revival time to take out whatever took him down. So we've got that Spiky Ball. A lot of people use it closer to the interior of the base. I wasn't really in a position in this attack to need to do that, so we kind of cleaned up some of the exterior buildings with it. But as you can see, we're making our way through this base. Definitely going to get a 3-star, but as you can see, the King here has literally not lost any of his health. He is at full health just because of how powerful that Vamp Stash is. Now here's to give you an idea of what I was talking about earlier with our Phoenix. The King dies right there, as you can see, and then instead of us getting a 1-star on this attack, the Phoenix just eats all of those air traps, and then the King goes ahead and gets us our 2-star, which is something that not only is useful for the extra star, but like I mentioned, a lot of times you'll see defenses that he'll take out, and that allows the rest of your army to take out the base. So let's take a look at some of the individual stats for our King here. I think that the Vamp Stash is actually slept on a lot, and we'll take a look at it. But for now, as we can see with our King here, mine's not maxed out, but still nearly 10,000 hit points. That is enormous with 519 damage per second. So he's a really, really bulky unit here and does quite a lot of damage. And then it makes it even more important when you pair him with these abilities here. So we've got a spiky ball. Again, mine's only a level 20, working on getting it maxed. Here's what I wanted to talk about though. So the Vamp Stash. Let's take a look at a maxed Inferno Tower, a maxed Wizard Tower, and then finally a maxed Mortar. We see all of the damage per second there, and then if we were to add them up, we would see that actually just the Vamp Stash here, maxed out at 300 healing per hit, it would mean that if he was targeted by all three of those defenses, so you've got a maxed out Wizard, maxed out Multi-Inferno, and maxed out Mortar, he would literally come out with more health than how he started, even while being attacked by those troops, because he is healing more per second than what he is actually taking in damage. And I think that that's just insane, considering those are troops, those are defenses that you would see pretty close to the interior of bases a lot of times. So he's getting deep into the base. It's rare that you'll be targeted by that many defenses to begin with, but he's actually gonna come out with more health than how he started. Moving right along, we're gonna take a look at our Warden. Our Warden, we're gonna use Diggy, and then again, we're gonna use our Rage Gem and our Eternal Tome. This is a particular army that I'll use with the Warden sometimes if I'm trying to make him more of a focal point, in which there's actually centered around miners. So I typically will go in with our Ice Golems and our Root Riders, and then we'll have some Druids giving them some health, but the miners in the middle there. And that Rage is particularly useful for the miners, and then as you get closer into the base, as you can see, I activated that Eternal Tome so that we would get those miners there to do all the damage we wanted in the center. And then the other nice thing is that he's not really close to the Warden, as you can see, but Diggy just stays, a few units in front, and he's taking out those defenses, stunning them on his own, and that kind of allows the Warden to snipe them from behind while we've got all of our heroes doing cleanup. And so this sort of army is particularly useful for wiping out the center of a base, and then you just kind of have that quad of heroes that kind of work around the exterior of the base that wasn't wiped out, and they'll be able to clean up everything on their own. So again, really highlighting Diggy there. You can see Diggy just doing lots of work, and then the Warden kind of stays out of the danger zone for the most part, while the King and then Diggy actually distract and take most of the hit points from them. So there's not much left for this base in particular. As you can see, there's a few buildings left. We haven't quite 3-starred it yet, but in terms of defenses, there's not much that this base can do. So this is kind of an easy 3-star. The Warden, as you can see, he's the only of my heroes that are maxed out. But with the hammer jam that is occurring with this new update coming out, I'm going to try to focus on my heroes to see if I can max them out. Maybe my walls as well, just that I don't have to worry about the upgrade times for the buildings. But let's take a look at the Warden stats here. So as we can see, he is not a very strong unit in terms of hit points, only 2,414 with a 309 damage per second. So he's strong just because he's maxed, but in terms of hit points, you definitely want to make sure that he stays behind the troops that he is meant to be supporting. We'll take a look at his equipment, and that'll give us a better idea of how we can use him for specific attacks. So the first one that we're going to take a look at is the Rage Gem, and as you can see there, that's a 50% damage increase percentage, as well as a 22% attack speed increase. So that is huge, because even if he is not the one outputting a lot of damage, it doesn't matter what army you're using, having that 50% increase on the damage is going to be huge. And then finally, the Eternal Tome. This is a classic. This is, what he came into the game with. 8 full seconds of complete invincibility is enormous, especially when it comes down to something like taking out the Town Hall and all of the weaponized Town Halls at the higher levels where they actually explode and leave a poison effect. That obviously would be huge to have. And then finally, we'll look at Diggy. As you can see, Diggy here, this is what I wanted to emphasize as a pet in particular, almost 5,000 hit points, and he's not maxed. Only 145 damage per second, but it's really that stun that he has, 2.5 seconds after hitting a target, and it is stunned. And that is particularly helpful when you get closer to the middle of bases, when you have things like scatter shots or maybe a single Inferno Tower. Those Inferno Towers will restart. So if you've been locked onto, that's something that will take that lock away and restart the damage per second on the Inferno, and that will really give you a lot of flexibility with your attack, making sure that none of your important troops get wiped. Now lastly, we've got the Archer Queen, and we are going again with the Invisibility Veil, the Frozen Arrow, and the Unicorn. And I've got this sped up. This should really give you an easy idea of one of the ways that you can utilize the Queen here, just knocking out the exterior of a base, creating a funnel on the inside of the base. And I've got the Unicorn for healing, of course. That's a really common pairing with the Queen. And then I've also got my 2 healers behind her. Probably didn't need to activate her ability at that point, but oh well. We're already up to 20 buildings destroyed, and she just keeps on moving. Not only does this distract some of the exterior buildings to free up your troops in the middle, but it also forces them to stay towards the center of the base, kind of working as a funnel. And she still has almost all of her health. She's actually going to finish this entire attack with literally the exact same amount of health that she started with. And if you count that last building there, the clan castle, that's 31 buildings destroyed by just the Queen. So now let's take a look at some of her stats so we can see how to best use her. Again, similar to the Warden, lower in the hit points, under 3,000 there, but she is only a level 81 on this account. It's that 717 damage per second that really makes the Queen stand out. And then when you combine that with something like the Invisibility Veil, which will give her almost 8 seconds of complete invisibility, it just really kind of puts into perspective that if you have her alongside your Grand Warden with that Eternal Tome, you're looking at almost 16 full seconds of invincibility for a troop that has enormous damage output. And then you combine that again with the Frozen Arrow here with a 55% slowdown. That's not even max, so that'll go up to 60% once I get another few levels in here. And really, she can not only slow down some defenses, but she can take them out quickly on her own. So that wraps up all of our troops. And then the last one is just the Unicorn, looking at the pet itself. Pretty low in terms of hit points, under 2,000 there, but it's that 70 heal for the hero that's going to be enormous. That's about equivalent to one of the weaker defense units in the game. And so it's basically going to negate the damage that would be being done by like an archer tower or a cannon, for example. So that's it, guys. We really appreciate you watching. Again, feel free to like and subscribe. We're going to be coming out with some new content, especially for the new Hammer Jam, and telling you all about some of the updates you can expect with this new potential town hall and all of the things that accompany it. So you're definitely going to want to turn on your notifications, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Thanks for watching.